Hello everyone. My name is Art Russell. Welcome to my channel. So about the title of this video. In case you're thinking, what's so great about waking up to our Am-Ness? I'd like to make a couple of points that I think hold tremendous value. Recognizing our essential nature is the key to empowerment and the way to lessen suffering. I'm going to be sharing some content that I believe has tremendous value, and I don't mean that egotistically. I just mean that when we can put this information together, it may be a light bulb moment, and one that I'm grateful that I've experienced, and I hope that this content will help you experience it also. So I hope that you'll watch through to the end to derive as much benefit from the content as possible. So let's begin. The first information comes from a very small book, as you can see, entitled The Law of Success by Paramahansa Yogananda. He was born in India, became a guru, and he's attributed with bringing Kriya Yoga and meditation to the West. He also had a tremendous understanding about deliberate manifestation and the law of attraction. Here's the short sentence. Mind is the creator of everything. Mind. So, with that in mind, I've actually drawn up an illustration that I hope can point to this being true. As you can see, I've drawn up a very basic illustration about a dream state dream. And for this illustration, I'd like you to consider that your true nature really can't point to it, but that as consciousness, that it's a point. It really can't be illustrated because it's beyond the senses. But for any experience to take place, there has to be consciousness. Otherwise, there couldn't be an experience in the absence of consciousness or awareness. Now, when your mind falls asleep, leaves the waking state reality, and it merges with a dream within the dream state. And in this dream, I've depicted that as a cabin in the forest, and that you have assumed the role of a character within that dream. And as you can see, that oneness of consciousness has assumed or divided, the mind has divided into an apparent object, the environment of the cabin in the forest, and the subject. So there is duality from apparent duality from oneness of consciousness. Now, as long as you are identified with a character within that dream, you believe 100% that you are that character and that everything you're experiencing within that dream is real. And it is real within the context of that dream. But when the dream ends and your mind engages with another dream or merges with waking state reality, you can look back and say, oh, that cabin in the forest, the pine trees, everything was rendered by consciousness. That consciousness had to be present. So this supports what was shared in this book, that the mind is the creator of everything. Let's move on. Excuse me. The next information comes from a book entitled You Too Can Be Prosperous, by Robert A. Russell. As you can see, I've highlighted many passages from this book as well as many of the other ones I've read. But I'll only read one today with the hopes that this can add to your understanding of a deeper level of reality. The human, in brackets, carnal mind believes that forms, tangible things, are outside of consciousness. It believes that circumstances are greater than God, and that matter is more real than spirit. Under that belief, man becomes the servant of matter, circumstances, and conditions, instead of its master. The carnal-minded man is what the world calls a materialist. Now, the reason I'm sharing this and why I also pointed out at the beginning of this video that waking up to our I am-ness is the key to empowerment is related also here in this saying, because under that belief, meaning the belief that the brain gives rise to consciousness, man becomes the servant of matter instead of its master. I'm hoping that this video will add to your empowerment and that you can rise in consciousness and become at least closer to being the master of your environment. The next information comes from a book entitled The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. He and his family, his relatives, his ancestry really have related Toltec wisdom for many, many years. Here's the passage. What you are seeing and hearing right now is nothing but a dream. You are dreaming right now in this moment. You are dreaming with the brain awake. Dreaming is the main function of the mind, and the mind dreams 24 hours a day. It dreams when the brain is awake, and it also dreams when the brain is asleep. The difference is that when the brain is awake, there is a material frame that makes us perceive things in a linear way. When we go to sleep, we do not have the frame, and the dream has the tendency to change constantly. Humans are dreaming all the time. What he's stating about the framework is that in dream state dreams, they're more fleeting and changeful. The waking state reality dream has a continuing plot. That's one of the main differences. And it seems more tangibly real. The next information comes from a book entitled The Lankavatara Sutra. A sutra is thought of as being a thread of valuable principles that are connected with the thread, a wisdom thread of, again, valuable principles. Now, this is from sayings that are attributed to, or dialogues attributed to, the historical Buddha Siddhartha Gautama. He was referred to as the Blessed One elsewhere, but also in this book. All that is seen in the world is devoid of effort and action, because all things in the world are like a dream, or like an image miraculously projected. This is not comprehended by the philosophers and the ignorant, meaning those who are not aware. But those who thus see things see them truthfully. Moving on, the next information is from this slight book entitled Who Am I? By Sri Ramana Maharshi. He was an awakened sage, saint, I believe also. He awakened suddenly to his true nature at the age of 16, and in later years, people from all over the world visited his ashram that was built around an ancient mountain. It's still there currently today in India, and he did his best to help seekers awaken to their true nature. This information comes in the form of a question from a seeker and the answer from Sri Ramana Maharshi. Here's the question. Is there no difference between waking and dream? Waking is long and dream short. Other than this, there is no difference. Just as waking happenings seem real while awake, so do those in a dream while dreaming. In dream, the mind takes on another body. In both waking and dream states, thoughts, names, and forms occur simultaneously. Next information comes from a book entitled Wake Up and Roar, Satsang with Papaji by Eli Jackson Bear. Here it is. Everyone is sleeping. When you see otherness, when you see duality, it is called dreaming. Only in the dream do you see objects. When there is other, it is a dream. And prior to this dream, you must be sleeping, meaning unaware. Sleeping is ignorance. When you wake up from this state, you wake up to awareness. So similar to the way that waking occurs from a dream state dream to the waking state reality, and the assumption is that at this level, that's base reality, the waking state, daily life. That's what I'm sharing. I don't mean to do it, and it's not a cocky way, honest. I don't mean it that way. It's just, it certainly came as a shock to me. You wake up to awareness above that, where you feel that who you are as spirit, that you can't point to it. That's why that was mentioned in the Bible too, that you can't point, lo, there it is, or lo, there, here it is, or lo, there it is. It's intangible. Consciousness, you can't touch it. It's not perceivable by the senses. The next information comes from one of my favorite books. I Am That talks with Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. I've shared this before, but connecting it with all of this other information, I hope it will be helpful and useful to you. We do not wake up into a really waking state. In the waking state, the world emerges due to ignorance and takes one into a waking state dream. Both sleep and waking are misnomers. We are only dreaming. True waking and true sleeping, only the Yanni, so that's a knower, knows. We dream that we are awake. We dream that we are asleep. The three states are only varieties of the dream state. Treating everything as a dream liberates. As long as you give reality to dreams, you are their slave. Now that's one of the way that this passage ended is one of the reasons I'm including it in this video. What I said at the beginning of this, self-recognition is the key to empowerment. I'm hoping that you, witnessing this video, that something will spark within you, ignite and point, could there be more going on than I've assumed about myself and the nature of the apparent world? As long as you give reality to dreams, you are their slave. When we wake up to our I-Am-Ness, we are no longer a slave. The next information is a quote from John Archibald Wheeler. He was a theoretical physicist who certainly had knew a lot about quantum physics and the nature of reality. There is no out there. I'm not saying there's no world. There's a world, but it's a world that depends on the act of observation. That's the key. What we call reality, what we call out there, doesn't exist independent of the observer. This is where, let's bring this up again. Did this dream of the cabin in the forest and where you played one of the roles of a character within that dream, did that exist independent of observation? No. And the last quote is from the great master, Jesus, from John chapter 14, verse 12. Very truly, I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and interpret this as going to the Father would be going non-physical, consciousness. When we don't have a gender bias, we call it source or the universe, non-material source. I'm also going to interpret believes in me, believes in the message that he was sharing, that we are all sons of the source, sons and daughters. I definitely believe in equality. When, from the perspective of the person, we've been conditioned to treat things as though objects, persons, places have intrinsic existence. With this paradigm, the consciousness-only paradigm of reality, apparent things are pulsing into apparent existence in the same way that a nighttime dream is, only more rapidly. Anyway, I suppose that's all I have for you today. I hope that the content that you'll find it empowering. This can be experienced directly by spending just a few minutes at a regular time every day in meditation. That will build a bit of a gap of separation in which you be able to be aware of sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts, and recognize that those are witnessed by awareness. If you found this video helpful or useful, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe. More information is available through my free articles at thinktwice.me and also through my book entitled This Taste of Flesh and Bones, available from Amazon. Thank you very much for listening. I look forward to seeing all of you again soon. Bye for now.